So did you guys focus a lot of red zone stuff today?
We did do some red zone. First time we introduced it today. Our plan was to do it a while ago in spring, but we just had so many other things to introduce and finally got to it today.
What did you take on the scrimmage last week?
A lot of positives. Each scrimmage, we've shown a lot of improvements. Negative of last scrimmage from a defensive standpoint, we introduced goal line, and our goal line set defensively was not very good. Outside of that, it was a very positive scrimmage.
You talked last week about the linebackers and doing some good things, but maybe not doing all the things you need. What's your take on them a week later?
You know what? Just talking about the overall defense, and those guys will kind of be included in that. I'm really happy with what we've been able to do in the last 3 to 4 practices. You know, you start spring practice and you have this menu of things that you want to try to install and teach and go through. You go through an installation schedule and how you're going to put it in. Well, the first few days, we threw that installation schedule out the window, you know, because the guys they were swimming, you know, and we're trying to keep it simple. So we kind of got off schedule a little bit, but here in the last 3 to 4 days, the guys seem to have just gotten it, you know, and there's been so much improvement. More specifically, the linebackers have gotten it. Their alignments, their fits have been consistent. Their pass drops have really improved. And I've seen a ton of improvement in the overall unit in the last 3 to 4 practices, and that's really been nice to see. We've been able to get back on schedule with our installation, actually probably a little bit of ahead of it right now after what we did today. So the linebackers have been a really major part of that improvement.
Has Austin Jones been a surprise as far as some of the things he's done at linebacker?
Well, I don't know if he's been a surprise. He's been fun to watch. I mean, I really didn't know much about Austin once we started spring practice, but every day he's been out there, the kid's been making plays. And I know he didn't play really last year. I don't know much about his history, but I know this. Every day he's been out there, he's been having fun, he's been playing hard, and he's been around the football. And he's been fun to watch throughout the course of spring.
Is he up in the depth chart where you got him?
He's in a rotation. He's a very smart football player. He's really trying to learn 2 positions, the Sam linebacker position and the Mike linebacker position. And this early in the installation where we're at right now, just the understanding of the package, not a lot of guys are able to do that, but he's one of them.
About Dante Carr in the middle, how's he looked?
You know what? He kind of, just like I said, in the last 3 to 4 days, things have just gotten better for him. It started to click, you know, and he's starting to get it. He's not where he needs to be by any means, but he's really had some good practices here in the last 3 days, and it's been fun to watch the improvement.
A lot of times you don't really know what you're going to get for your JUCO guys.
Mm-hmm.
What have you thought about the 3 of them and how much they've progressed in the 11 practices so far?
They're like everybody else. They've showed improvement. You know, they have a long way to go. Obviously, when you get to this level from a junior college, things are different. The way you practice, the expectations, the competition, things are different. And they're learning that part of it, you know. And been happy with the progress with the guys. They have a long way to go. Yeah, absolutely.
Last week you said A.J. Turner, you know, might get a little behind, but he ended up scrimmaging, at least in the last series. Does that mean he's doing better, or just?
Well, he's been cleared to get back out there. I mean, he's had a cast on, and he's been cleared to get back out there, and he was able to get in there and get some reps, which was good. He's still way behind from a mental standpoint just because of all the time that he's missed, but he did get out there, practiced a little bit, and he's done a little bit each day.
The play Bennett made in the end zone, was it the same? Was it a double move like the touchdown in the first scrimmage, or?
It was, yeah, it was, yeah.
Recognition and.
Well, it's not. They were in a certain formation with the coverage that we had called. There's a certain adjustment that we were trying to make, and it's just like everything else. You know, it's a process to get them to understand. Hey, recognize the formation. What's the adjustment? What are the possible scenarios we're going to get? And on that particular play, the offense had gotten us a couple times, and on that play, he got it. You know, Tevin Mitchell was the corner, got beat on a double move, but with what we were trying to do, Eric Bennett responded the right way, and he made the play. And in previous scrimmages, he hadn't done that, or practices, either he hadn't done it or Tevin hadn't played it right. We got it, and you know, we take an opportunity to celebrate all those little victories like that, because there's a lot of, hey, they got it finally. You know, today at practice there was a particular run fit that we've been struggling with Lake at Will linebacker, and today he got it, and we got a negative yardage play. So, you know, we're trying to find every opportunity to show signs of improvement, and that we're getting things, and they've been happening every day here recently.
Go ahead.
How has Bennett been? I mean, it seemed like we talked about the strong safeties a lot, but we just hadn't talked about Bennett very much.
Mm-hmm.
And he's an older guy with a lot of experience.
You know, Bennett's done really good. He's on an outstanding spring, in my opinion. being completely honest, when I got here, there were a lot of negative things about Eric Bennett coming out of last season. You know, didn't have a very good season, got beat a lot, was in the wrong spot, whatever. So when I started practice, I didn't know what we were going to get out of Eric Bennett, but I've been more than pleased with what Eric Bennett's done. He's been a great player. He's been a great student of the game. He's been very coachable. He's given great effort. He's never wrong. It's just when he's out there, he's always making the right calls, always getting the line right. 99% of the time, he's in the right position. And if you can do that, you're going to make yourself hard to beat. And from my understanding, that might not have been the case last year, but he's done that so far this spring.
Anything you're particularly emphasizing for Saturday scrimmage?
Well, it's Saturdays. Right now, this Saturday, we're not going to have a full scrimmage like we have the last 2 Saturdays. It's going to be more of a practice, and we'll end with a little bit of a scrimmage. We're going to scrimmage some red zone and goal line, and we just haven't had a lot of opportunities to do those scenarios, and Saturday is going to be another chance to do that. Well, last Saturday we did goal line to start. We're going to do goal line for the second opportunity this next Saturday, so my hope is that we're better than we were last week. And if we are, then I'll be happy with that. And the red zone's the same thing. Today was the first day we did it. There were goods and bads as we thought. Hopefully Saturday we'll come back, clean some things up, and we'll be better in that situation.
How about just kind of the home stretch of practices in general? What's kind of a pressing priority for you before time runs out?
Well, it's more the mental thing. From an installation standpoint, there aren't a lot of things that we're going to try to put in still. Again, I think, when I started spring practice, there was a menu of things I wanted to try to get in terms of concepts. I wanted to teach the guys certain concepts, whether it be run fit concepts, pass concepts, blitz concepts. And we are ahead of schedule right now from where we were when we started. So I'm happy with that. There are a couple things we still have to decide if I'm going to put in or not in the next couple practices. But now it's more about just fine-tuning the things that we've put in, like the red zone, the goal line things that we just haven't had a lot of opportunities to do. We've got to get better. Third down things, we still got to get better with some third down things. But it's all starting to come together. I'm happy with where we're at. Long way to go. But the improvement from day 1 to practice 11 has been outstanding. It really is. It's been unbelievable to watch. And hopefully in the next few practices, we're continuing that trend upward.
Chris, I think you had 7 sacks the other day. Do you know what the mix was in terms of pressure sacks or 4-man, and just were you happy with the blitz pressure you got?
I couldn't answer the question, honestly, how many sacks we got with pressure versus 4-man rush. We have not blitzed a whole lot this spring. I mean, honestly, I think through the course of 11 practices, we've got 4 blitzes in. That's it. They've been effective, but we've done a lot better job up front rushing the passer with 4 guys. We've got some different things that we're doing, but the D linemen have really cranked it up. They're doing a nice job with their pass rush games. The majority of the sacks we've gotten this spring have come from 4-man rush just because we're not blitzing a whole lot right yet.
You responded a lot to questions we've had about specific players, but you haven't really said these are the guys that I think are stepping out.
Yeah.
Can you give us some of that?
Yeah, I can't, just to be honest with you, from my standpoint, I don't like to talk about a lot of individuals. I like to talk about the unit, because the unit is what's going to make us. There are several individuals that have had an outstanding spring. Obviously, the 4 D linemen up front, all 4 of them have great springs. They've really, in my opinion, have bought into what we're doing, teaching the fundamentals, the techniques, the gap integrity that we want with our system. They've really improved with that. The linebacking core, I can't say enough about the improvement they've made, especially in the last 3 practices, all of them. Braylon Mitchell is probably the most improved player on the defensive unit so far. That's a guy that not a lot of people talked about when we first got here. I didn't know a whole lot about Braylon either. And I'll tell you, he's out there with the ones, and he's been out there since early spring, and he's making a lot of plays. And in the back end, talked about Eric Bennett already. Eric's been just Mr. Consistency back there for us, and he should be going into his senior year, but he's done a great job. Rohan Gaines has really stuck out as a guy that we think can be a big-time playmaker for us. But for me, I don't like to call it as individuals as much as I like to talk about the unit, because, it's one for all, man. And I think the overall unit, because of the individual improvement, has really improved.
Couple more guys.
Just second team overall, I mean, I know first team is first team for a reason. Do you see some development of the second group?
I do. Depth is a concern. It really is, and I think that's probably a recurring theme for a lot of people around the country. I mean, at Wisconsin, depth was always an issue, and but I see some really steady improvement with some of the guys that are running with the 2 defense. Is there a drop off at certain positions? Yeah, there is. And it's our job to continue to develop that depth, because you're only going to be as good as your depth allows you to be. You know, I don't think I've ever been around a player in a particular season where a guy's been able to play 12, 13 games without ever having to come out for some reason. You know, and we don't want to put in a backup, you know, out there that can't get it done. So we do have a long way to go in terms of developing our depth.
You kept guys out there, it appears. I mean, you know, haven't faced a lot of injury situations.
We've been very lucky with that, and that's obviously one of the reasons we've improved, because guys have been on the practice field, they've been getting coached, and they've been getting a lot of reps, and that's been fun to see. Have not had that honestly in most of my coaching career. At some point in the spring, that injury list gets really long, and you know, we go in those staff meetings and trainers come in, go through the injury list. It's been fairly small, but again, that's led to our improvement, and hopefully that continues for the next few days.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.